Welcome to Date Yourself, the podcast. I'm your host, Amber, and no matter if you're married or single, I think the world would be a better place if we all dated ourselves. During this podcast, we discuss being unapologetically yourself, ditching the bullshit, and tuning into more peace by making joy a choice. Through listening to this podcast, you might create a lifelong glow-up, just saying. It's time you start appreciating yourself more and date yourself. So welcome, my loves, to this new era, this new podcast. We have a new setting, a new beginning, a whole new podcast. If you're new here, thank you so much for checking in. My name is Amber, and I help you create more joy and step into the dream that you have for yourself by reprogramming your subconscious, your mindset, and letting your soul and intuition make your decisions. So I've been growing through some major life changes this year, and it has been making me want to step into kind of a new role in my business. But the podcast and some of the stuff that I was doing just didn't really resonate with what I wanted to create anymore. And so that is how Date Yourself was born, which is basically all about self-love. And because self-love to me also has become like this kind of term that we loosely throw around and is so important. We all know it. It has kind of been like this trend, right? But I don't know. I just kind of felt boring and I wanted to spice things up. So that's how Date Yourself was born. Because no matter if you're in a relationship or not, I think we should all date ourselves. So I just wanted to get into how to date yourself a little bit more. This is a topic that I love to discuss with my friends as well. So I've been dating myself. This sounds kind of silly to me still, but I don't know. I love it as well. It's silly, but I love it. I've been dating myself for a long time, and that kind of came from the thought of like, why should I wait for someone to do these fun things with? I have not been experiencing that much romance in my life, and I enjoy going on dates with people, meeting new people. But why wait to be in a relationship to do the things that you like would really love to do? And so last year I've been on a solo trip for the first time to Spain. That was amazing. Just by myself. I loved it so much. But it has, and I like taking myself out on day to the city and doing like trying new hobbies and also meeting new people. And that has been so fulfilling, so rewarding. And I also, like I said, talked to my friends about this because they always tell me like I would also really love to go on a solo trip, or I would really love to just go to the city and grab a coffee by myself and read a book. I'm like, well, why aren't you doing that? Like, it's not that hard, right? And what I hear my friends and my clients tell me the most is that they are kind of just not giving themselves permission to do that. And I think that that also comes from a lack of self-love, because self-love to me, and I'm not saying like you're doing it wrong, because it's kind of society that has made us feel like we cannot give ourselves these amazing experiences, and it's weird to be a lone wolf, right? I'm not a lone wolf, but I do things by myself. I love to be on my own, but that's kind of looked down upon for some reason. And so I want to go deeper into that. But being on your own, learning to be comfortable with yourself is a big topic that comes up. Having to set boundaries, having to learn to say no to people that you don't want to spend time with anymore, or are just not really fitting in your life anymore. Saying yes to the things that really light you up, but might be a little bit out there, but you kind of feel like, oh, that is like really true to me, but you kind of postpone it because maybe you're afraid of what other people will think. And then also like the fear of missing out and comparing yourself to others, like I should be ahead by now. Those are all the topics that I run into a lot when it comes to talking to my clients and my friends. And so that all comes down to self-love. And so I'm kind of known for asking difficult pain in the ass questions, which I think is so helpful if you're ready to look deeper into what the answer might be. And so if you're not ready for me asking you difficult questions, that's okay too, right? Well, you can see me as like your big sister who asks these difficult questions that I know you'll be grateful for later. I'm not wanting to sugarcoat things or cuddle you because I know that that won't help you, right? I'm really grateful for people who help me see deeper, who help me see my patterns and why I'm doing what I'm doing, or why I want what I want, or figure out what it is that I want. And so I'll be honest with you, and I'll also be your biggest supporter through it, because you deserve the best and I don't want you to settle for anything less. That is my intention with this podcast, to ask you difficult questions, to give you insights into this self-love journey that we all are being on, no matter where you are with self-acceptance, setting boundaries, all the stuff that I just touched upon. But I want you to know that things can feel easy for you, to feel less anxiety, to stop comparing yourself to others, to feel more confident, to just speak your truth, and to be able to listen to what it is that you need, what it is that you really want, and to start taking action towards it without postponing it anymore. And I know through personal experience and that of my friends and my clients that if you start to date yourself, which is kind of like what I refer to when it comes to like setting boundaries and accepting yourself, that everything that you want is possible. I've seen it happen time after time. When people start to choose themselves more, if people start to step up their game when it comes to choosing their joy and to letting go of the old, that they are kind of transforming, they go through this glow up. And I think that you can maybe think of examples for yourself as well of people around you, or maybe like you've gone through a breakup and you were like, fuck this, like I'm gonna now choose myself and let others see how bright I can shine, right? That is the energy that I want you to be in all the time. In a relationship, without a relationship, when you're dating, doesn't matter. Like, you deserve to shine that bright all the time. And that is possible. So here's my first pain in the ass question, if you're ready. How are you still preventing yourself from having fun? And then the follow-up question, which kind of has to do with a dialogue that comes up when asking yourself that question or wanting to do something fun. What is the reason that you are postponing doing this fun thing? Because what I see happen a lot, and like, take the time to think about this, right? Because I know I'm going on and on, but if you really want to get into this, like maybe pause it, think about it. But the thought that comes up the most is like, if I want to do this, I first need to do or be or radiate or whatever excuse we use. And we all do this. I do this myself as well. No judgment here. But it's really interesting to look at why we are postponing doing fun things or taking good care of ourselves. For example, some people are like, okay, I can only start dating when I have lost this amount of weight. Or I can only start my own business when I have this amount of money. And I think that that is not fair to you. I also think that that voice of I should first be better, I should first be like this, or I should first do this, that voice usually comes from a critic out of our lives that has made us feel insecure in the past. And so this can be a parent figure who was kind of wanting you to be different or wish that you would do what they really wanted you to do. Or maybe a teacher that really made you feel small. Or maybe a sibling that always critiqued you. And so that voice, that critique voice that you have in your head of I should be further ahead by now, I should not be like this, did I say that? That voice, that critique voice, and the fear that's associated with it usually comes from a parent figure, sibling, or teacher, or whoever it was that has made you feel that way in the past, made you feel like you weren't good enough, that you didn't do enough, or that you basically weren't behaving the way that they wanted you to behave, because it's all a projection, right? Because we all see life through our different lenses. And so that person that critiqued you in the past and that voice that you're now still hearing when you are doing something that might really excite you or is a little bit scary, that voice of critique of the parent figure, of that teacher, of that sibling, they were just pretending that they knew better than you, and they kind of just projected their own fears and their own life onto you. So this is what we do. We all do this. I do this as well. I know that you're probably doing that as well, where you are just giving someone advice because you've been through something similar and you're just like, oh, I know like what this has been like, so let me just project my past onto you. But that past is a combination of your fears, like what happened and what you don't want to happen to someone else anymore, or your own experience, which might not be or become the experience of the person who maybe be asking for advice, or you're giving unsolicited advice. That happens a lot too, right? So we're always projecting our own experiences onto each other. And so that critique voice that you're hearing from that person that you grew up with, because we remember those voices of the people that we thought were like our authority figures, who were probably always right, like our parents, right? They also have been projecting their own stuff onto you. And so that critique voice, you might still believe is like valid, is true, but actually that is what you have become to take on as a truth as a child, but it might not actually be the truth. And so my follow-up question is, who is that person in the back of your mind that you're still hearing, that you are having on loop, on repeat? And is it actually true what they thought of you? Is it actually true, like that you're doing something wrong? Or is it just a projection of them onto you? Could you have done it differently? Or were you just perfect, like good enough already as you were in that moment? Personally, I believe that we all are good enough from the beginning. You cannot tell a baby like you're not good enough just for crying, wanting food, pooping, like it's a freaking baby, right? And then as we grow up, we try to make the best possible choices in that moment with the information that we have. And that's how we learn. And so that critique voice in the back of your mind might be exaggerating a little bit too much. And so that's why I think that it's beautiful to recognize where that voice is coming from. Because most of the time, it's not really our fault that we have that much anxiety, that we hold ourselves back a lot. Because we have just taken on these things that people have said about us in the past, and we've taken it on as a truth, and we have forgotten about it, but our subconscious mind still knows, still remembers, and it's trying to protect us at all times. That's why you might not be doing the things that you really want to do. And that's exactly why I'm asking you this pain in the ass question, because I want you to do the things that you would really love to do, right? That's why we're here on Earth. If you want to really get into it, right? I want you to make your dreams come true. And that starts with allowing yourself to dream, allowing yourself to have fun, to date yourself. So you might be asking yourself, like, okay, now I know that it is this person's voice in my head. Maybe it's even more than one, right? There might be more people who have made you feel a certain way, and that is just what your subconscious mind now has like saved as a file, and it will refer back to that file every time that you come in a situation that is kind of similar from what happened, that you are reminded of that person critiquing you. So there is a practical way that you can deal with this. And let's just get some humor in it. Because what I do is every time that voice comes up, and I'm now just kind of making it more general for me, it's also more than one person, but I give that voice a name. And you kind of can pretend like that nagging voice is a character. So it could be like a really serious man who is like a school teacher with like glasses on and a hat or whatever. Mine is named Clara, like Clara, and she is also just like your great aunt. Really bad, like, kind of like a Karen, but then she's named Clara. And like you can imagine, like gray hair, really old-fashioned clothing. That's kind of the character that I've built around my critique voice, because every time that critique voice comes on, I'm like, okay, Clara, not today. No, thank you. Like, your pessimistic attitude has nothing to bring into my life at this moment. Like, we know, I get it. Thank you. And you can be kind to your critique voice. I am sort of kind to my Clara, but Clara also just needs to piss off, right? Sorry, Clara. But that's because Clara is there for a reason, right? Clara would really love to protect me because she doesn't want me to get into the same situation that I've been in when I got that critique. So she's kind of like, don't go that way, because we know that if we do that, something might go wrong, or we might have someone talk down on us or make us feel like we're not good enough, because that's exactly what happened in the past, right? So she's just like making up all these stories about why I should not be doing something that I really want to be doing because of the past. So she's actually just wanting to help me, but I should not forget that Clara is also just this nagging, irritating, pessimistic voice in my head, and so that's why I give her that character, because it kind of just gets into perspective that our thoughts are not who we are. It's just our subconscious mind that has kind of taken these things on as a truth, and it's trying to protect us. That's what the mind does. The mind wants to protect us. The mind wants to solve problems for us, because the mind is here for us to survive. It does a lot of other great things, but the primary source of our brain is basically just to protect us. And so if you can zoom out, if you can give it a name, in this case, she's named Clara. Maybe like you want to call your pessimistic voice Karen, if that feels fun to you. Get creative, like give them a whole character like they would be playing in a movie. And just say, oh, okay, Clara, like I've heard you, thank you. I see what you're trying to do here, but I don't need you right now. Goodbye. And this needs some practice, let me tell you, because the first step, which you have taken today, which is amazing, is naming it. Now you know where it comes from. That's the first step, right? So the next step is to name it, to see the humor in it. And then the third step is to say, okay, I see you, I hear you, I know what you're trying to do, thank you, but I don't need you. And with that, kind of the challenge is to then listen to a different voice, because that voice is also out there. And this is something that I've been teaching for years now, and that is just the soul voice, the voice of your heart, who really just knows. It's an internal knowing what it is that you want to do. So if you're really passionate about something, if you're really curious about something, if something like Marie Kondo sparks joy, that is your soul communicating to you. You can call it whatever you like, your heart, your intuition. It's kind of all the same thing. But it feels good. It also feels scary, because fear and anxiety shows up kind of the same as anxiety and excitement in the body. So yes, it can spark fear as well. And with that, that is okay. And so this is a subject for another day, but the things that make us go out of our comfort zone, but that spark joy, are usually the path that our soul is leading us to, which might sound really esoteric, but like I truly believe that our soul is always guiding us to grow the most and to create this beautiful life for ourselves. And it's just always nudging us towards the things that will give us the most joy and the most growth. So getting out of your comfort zone is usually listening to the soul, because if you're not moving out of your comfort zone, you're not really growing, right? And if you're doing the same old thing, eventually it won't give you the same amount of joy anymore. So what I do is I thank Clara And then I choose to listen to that different voice, that voice of my soul, of my heart. I will get into more of the mind versus the soul, like listening to your intuition. I was just talking to my friend about intuition as well. She was like, I'm such a logical person. I don't really give it a lot of thought to get into the intuition because I just feel like I make up things that I really want to do or what my intuition is. And I always think like, oh, that's not really based on anything. I don't know if I can trust it, right? And so I want to get into knowing if something is a soul idea, if something is intuition versus if your mind has made it up. That's coming. There's a lot more coming. I also want to be bringing guests onto the podcast around these topics, which I'm really excited about. That's still in the making, but I really hope that you're going to love this podcast, that you're enjoying this first episode. I would love to get your feedback as always. I love to hear from you guys. So I had this really fun thing that I want to be doing. I'm giving away some free meditations. This is my signature meditation, which is now worth around $80, but I'm giving it away for free. If you are wanting to help me and share this podcast on your Insta stories, you can tag me, and then through the DMs, I will send you this meditation. And this meditation will help you tune into your intuitive voice. So you can recognize your intuition, that intuitive voice, instead of the mind, like the Clara. I will help you to check into that different voice through this meditation. That's why this is my signature meditation, because it's really easy to connect with that voice through that meditation. I work with that meditation with my clients as well. It's kind of my go-to resource when it comes to asking the right questions and getting answers from within that you really can use to move forward. And you will also experience deep peace through doing this meditation. So if that is something that you're excited to try, just share this podcast episode and tag me, and I will send it to your DMs for free. That was it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you choose to do one thing for yourself today that makes you feel really good, to listen to your body, to listen to what it is that you need. And I hope to see you in the next episode. Speak to you soon. Bye.